it wouldn't be a proper crypto bull market, bear market, whatever you want to call it, without some good old Tether FUD, because that's exactly what's happening. But this time it's not within the crypto community. It's coming from traditional finance, which something we should have all called and saw, primarily because we've seen how JP Morgan has been moving. They've trashed crypto and Bitcoin for years. Then they're very interested in it, saying it's part of the future and whatnot. But let's go ahead and kind of talk about this Tether FUD, what's happening in the crypto markets. I know it's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful time with your families. I hate the holidays. I don't like them in any way, shape, or form, but I continue to show up because that's just what we do. So good morning to my YouTube babes. Good morning to Mr. Dale, Mr. R. Shout out to Lawrence. Thank you for being here. We also have Everett and we have Aloha J. So let's go ahead and get into the news, see what's going on, because I'm tired. I want to actually go take a nap after this. But anyways, thank you to Lawrence for the $10 super chat. And today will be a little bit slow, just primarily because markets, it's the holidays. People are with their families where they should be. So let's talk about what's going on with Tether, because it's popping up everywhere. So the S&P cuts Tether stablecoin rating to weak on disclosure gaps. This is what they are saying. And before we talk about my reasoning why I think they're saying this, and again, Tether is one of the most profitable companies in the world. They're also the largest single entity of gold outside of any federal bank or any federal entity, which is absolutely insane. But we do always see that there's a lot of Tether FUD. It doesn't matter what type of market we're in. Like, it's just kind of what happens. Now, is Tether a legitimate company or not? That's really for you to decide for yourself. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're legitimate. I'm not going to say any of these things. But what I do know is that they absolutely were put through the ringer via NYSE. And if they're still allowed to operate in the United States of America, that's generally kind of a good sign. We do know that Bo Hines is working with them now and whatnot. So let's go ahead and talk about kind of what's happening here, whether we should believe the FUD or not. I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's one of the largest, most popular stablecoins, has been in the game the longest. Again, there's a lot of people that say, have negative things to say about it and whatnot. But we can also go back and say these negative things about banks and transparency, because we don't know how much reserves banks have. We don't know what they're taking. We don't know where they're taking our money and investing and whatnot. It's all these different types of things. So it's really about your opinion at the end of the day. And again, I'm not here to defend anyone. I'm just here to give you guys a story so you can practice some self-education here. So this was a story about the S&P. And remember, we kind of talked about MicroStrategy and MSCI downgrading them and kind of wanting to remove them from the stock market and all that type of stuff. The amount of and that's Morgan Stanley. Okay, the amount of different entities within traditional finance that do these things, that have a say in various forms of the stock market and financial markets is really absurd to me when you think about it. Like, we have so many. And it's just kind of problematic at this point, because number one, we're not taught any of this in school. The banking industry and traditional finance is kind of like a shadowed entity. I'm not cooking today. I'm not. That's a whole nother story. I don't want to talk about the holidays. I really hate the holidays. My dad died on Christmas Eve, like when I was a kid. I just don't like the holidays. They're not for me. And that's okay. You don't have to like them. I prefer other days throughout the year. But anyways, let's get back to Tether. So S&P Global Ratings downgraded USDT to weak from constrained on its stablecoin stability assessment. And that's interesting because Tether really hasn't had a depeg or too much drama in quite some time. But they did come out with this story regarding Tether being $180 billion gold whale. They own the most gold out of any independent federal anything. I want to get the exact title over here for you guys. So Tether is now the largest independent gold holder in the world, surpassed only by central banks. So they own the most gold, which is interesting to me, because if they own X amount of gold and they're proving that they own X amount of gold, I'm not understanding the issue with everything else. But again, I'm just a bimbo on the internet, so that could be why I just maybe don't understand. But the S&P Global Ratings evaluates and assigns credit ratings to businesses, governments, and financial products. Downgrade is due to rising exposure to high-risk assets and limited transparency in reserves. Bitcoin now accounts for 5.6% of Tether's reserves, exceeding the 3.9% safety buffer. High-risk assets, Bitcoin, gold, corporate bonds, and secured loans grew from 17 to 24% of total reserves over the past year. 77% of reserves remain in treasuries and cash-like instruments. The rest are risk high. S&P noted limited disclosure on custodians, counterparties, creditworthiness, and asset segregation. Tether moved to El Salvador, where regulations allow high-risk assets in reserves, and El Salvador also does not mandate asset segregation. A drop in Bitcoin or other risky asset values could leave Tether uncollateralized. USDC currently holds a strong rating. Okay, so USDC... shout out to Karina. Thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat. I greatly appreciate it. I want to break this down a little bit. So I've always said, and again, like, this is just my thoughts. You guys can believe whatever you want. I always want you to fact check me. I'm just an idiot on the internet. That's really what this is. But my question is, okay, or I've always said that Coinbase will be like the first crypto bank, the big one. USDC will be like the CBDC in America for the most part. And just kind of based off of who they know, who's invested in them, who's got control over them, all types of things. Tether is a lot older than USDC. Tether got reamed multiple times in the United States of America. And you guys have to remember, literally not even a year ago, the United States of America was a very unfriendly place to do business when it comes to crypto, because there was so much hate towards a lot of these companies. Now, is that saying that Tether's legitimate or not? And did the US have valid concerns to go after them? Did they? They could have. But moral of the story is a lot of companies left the USA. So just because they left the USA to go to El Salvador, that doesn't bother me. Just because a lot of companies had to move overseas to sustain. And why wouldn't you want to go to El Salvador? El Salvador has been very friendly to crypto, extremely friendly to Bitcoin. And it's easy to actually have conversations with the regulator. So to me, that's a non-issue. Doesn't make sense. Like, why would you be upset at them for going where they're treated best? So it is just very interesting timing that the S&P wants to go ahead and downgrade them. I want to say, I think it was the IMF. I forget who it was. They did that to El Salvador too. They were saying terrible things about their economy and what they were doing with Bitcoin, et cetera. But El Salvador is actually thriving in most cases. So it's always very interesting to hear these types of stories come out. And again, is Tether going to collapse? I don't think it's going to collapse. I think it's not only a very, very profitable company, but I think that they have a lot of assets. Could they be more transparent? Yes, they could. But from what we just discussed and talked about, and again, pink trades, I don't think or call anything 100% safe. There can always be issues. But at the same time, Tether seems to be a lot more transparent than the banks. JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citibank, you name it. In the United States of America, not only do these banks not have to hold set reserve assets, but they can kind of just do and move freely in most cases. And we have no idea where they're spending our money or what they're investing in. So just wanted to drop that out there for you guys to kind of think about. Because again, it's important to critical think, and it's important to look at different types of sources. Now, the next, and my stuff is all messed up today because it always. Now, this comes from Mr. Beal. Oh no, I want to talk about what Paulo, from the CEO of Tether, said. He says, we wear your loathing with pride. And this was his clap back to the S&P. Because he had to say something. I would have said something too. But he says that Tether rejects S&P's negative ratings with confidence, and that traditional rating models are outdated and have historically misread investors. I agree with that. Legacy financial systems are rigged and resistant to companies that operate differently, and Tether claims to be overcapitalized with no toxic reserves. They remain highly profitable despite concerns, and they position themselves as a proof of flaw in the traditional financial system. And they are also the largest independent holder of gold, $180 billion. So me personally, from just kind of going over these stories, yeah, they do want to push USDC. Just me personally, being a bimbo on the internet, kind of going over these stories, it was announced that Tether owns an F ton of gold. Tether's thriving business-wise. We see that all over X all the time. Happy Thanksgiving. And now the S&P wants to downgrade them. That's what's happening. So to me, it's like coordinated FUD to an extent. I'm not saying that Tether's perfect and they've always done everything correctly, but I'm just kind of saying it's very interesting when all this news comes out. So I want to say that. I'm going out today for Thanksgiving. I'm not cooking today. I'm not. I got some Ripple news, so stick with me. But as far as the current market goes, everything is kind of up a little bit. Shout out to Flare, they're up. Pi is up, Virtual is up, TIA, Maker, everything is kind of looking good. It could be because markets are closed. And in addition to that, people are supposed to be with their families. Only us mental illness, those of us with mental illness, were on the internet today. As far as Bitcoin goes, we're doing pretty well. We actually finally got above the EMA 9. We opened at 87,000 yesterday, closed at 90,000, currently trading at 91. So we're looking pretty good. This is wonderful. As far as our big chart over here, we're getting ready to retest 94,000. So we could have in fact found the local bottom. As far as Ethereum goes, Ethereum's getting ready to test $3,100. We got a nice close above 2,900, which is important support. Solana having a little bit of trouble flipping 144, but they've got the breakout conference coming soon. I'm sure there'll be a lot of different announcements with that. So hopefully that helps with price, just as long as everything has momentum. XRP is going sideways right now, having trouble flipping above 227. Link, same thing, struggling a little bit at resistance at 1382. ADA is way low, but that's okay. It'll rebound eventually when the time is right. And as far as HBAR goes, HBAR is kind of just going sideways and struggling a little bit. So there's that. And if you'd like to trade with me, we're on Kraken or we're on iTrust, whatever works best for you. And again, thank you guys so much for spending time with me. Now, as far as Ripple goes, Ripple put out a post. Ripple's rlusd recognizes first accepted fiat reference token for the use within Abu Dhabi's ADGM. As far as that goes, Abu Dhabi and UAE they're always kind of been the leaders when it comes to crypto as far as regulation goes. So I'm absolutely happy to see it. But all this means with Ripple's rlusd is that Abu Dhabi's regulator approved rlusd as a trusted regulated USD-backed stablecoin. So firms inside ADGM financial zone are allowed to use it. FSRA licensed institutions can use rlusd for settlement, lending, and as collateral on exchanges or prime brokerage firms, which again is going to help push forward adoption with Ripple's rlusd. Because again, we're like in this stablecoin era. We're in this privacy but stablecoin era, which is pretty interesting. Next. So according to this story from you today, XRP reserves on Binance collapsed by 640 million, a supply shock. So all that is here, this is actually a bullish story, even though they're saying that Binance's reserves collapsed. This is actually a good thing for XRP holders. So all that it basically means is they're saying that the XRP reserves fell. And they fell from 3 billion to 2.7 billion in other 2 months, which is about a $690 million drop. And XRP outflows are averaging between 45 and 55 million per week. So this could mean that people are buying XRP. Institutions are buying for their reserves because of the spot ETF demand, or people are just moving to cold storage. It's not a bad thing. None of these things are bad. And then in the article, it also says U.S. spot XRP ETFs launched November 13th and are adding 30 to 50 million of weekly demand. So we have all these XRP spot ETFs. There's a lot of demand for these. We talked about the inflows yesterday. I think they've currently hit about 150 million or billion. I forgot what the number was, but there's a lot of interest in the XRP spot ETFs, and there'll continue to be a lot of interest with the XRP spot ETFs and other crypto ETFs. And we could see similar actions happen where supply is leaving exchanges because a lot of these companies the traditional financial companies need to get they need that asset for their clients. You can't just issue in demand for or there can't just be demand for something without the ETFs actually having it, custodying it. Okay. Also, there's another story about XRP whales, $4 billion sell-off in November, highest in 30 days since March. To me, this is not bad at all. They say whales have sold over 2.2 billion worth of XRP. That's not a bad thing. And the reason why it's not a bad thing is because hold on a second, I'm reading this. I can see you, XRP Espresso. Happy Thanksgiving. This is not a bad thing because, again, we talked about this with a lot of the ETF action, a lot of companies and a lot of people. This is why it's important to have a really good CPA. Why does it matter if I have a different opinion than someone? I don't have to account for anything of a different opinion. I'm my own person. They're their own person. If people have the same opinions across the board, that's not a good sign. And I don't care. Like, I don't listen to really other content creators. I appreciate what they do. But I got accused very early on of, oh, you stole this idea and you did this. Da, 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 da. So I says, you know, I'm just going to stop looking at other content creators. I'm going to do my own thing. Listen, I respect everybody's opinion to do their own thing, but I have my own opinion, and you're not going to buy my opinion. It is what it is. Like, I'm very, very, very stubborn. Okay. There's no rationale for me having a different opinion as of somebody. I have a different opinion and they have a different opinion, and it is what it is. Shout out to Noah for the $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving. So as far as people selling their XRP or whatever assets and whatnot it is, especially the end of the year, that's normal. That's typical. People have to rebalance their portfolios. A lot of people do have to, they hire CPAs to be like, hey, or financial advisors like, hey, what do I do end of the year? Or what do I do throughout the year so I don't have to pay a bunch in taxes? That's exactly what it is. So to me, a bunch of selling doesn't necessarily mean anything negative. It could, but in this case, I don't think it's negative. In my opinion, it could be. I don't think it is. Solana ETFs post first red day since launch. This is crazy. Okay. So Solana had 20 days. I want to say it was 20 days of inflows. 20 days of inflows. Oh, excuse me. 21 days. Spot Solana ETF saw outflows of 8.1 million Wednesday, breaking a 21-day inflow streak since their debut. That is not bad. That is not bearish. That is not bad any way, shape, or form. Okay. It's not. If anything, it just shows how strong it was. A 20-day inflow streak. That's not bad. It's not bearish to me. Outflows were primarily driven by 34.37 million redemption from 21 shares. Solana is seen as a riskier high beta compared to altcoins like XRP, Decrypt was told. I don't believe that. I think that these are not, like, Solana is not risky. XRP is not risky as far as these ETFs go. I would be more concerned with a lot of the smaller cap stuff. These are large cap stuff. I don't see these as being risky, but go off. Bitwise files for an updated avalanche ETF. I want that thing to pump. I need $100. Avalanche. If you think inflows are manipulated, you should research the stock market, dude. The stock market is incredibly manipulated. Securitize gets EU green light, plans tokenized security platform on Avalanche. Love to see it. Love to see it. RWAs. And as far as Hedera goes, you guys know we love Hedera Foundation over here. But they talked about DeFi. And again, DeFi is going to be incredibly important moving forward with that vertical integration with TradFi. So C Sigma Finance lists DeFi yields on Hedera reflect real-world economic activity. Over 80 million in fully collateralized enforceable debt backing the platform. Mid-market companies can get fast cash for invoices, paying 24% to 36% APR. And the platform tokenizes legal claims, handles of compliance, connects stablecoin pools. And Hedera was chosen for fixed fees, legal governance, and broad institutional and retail access, which we love. Shout out to them. Also, there's a little bit of conversation from Sandeep from MATIC, Polygon, about changing the ticker back to MATIC. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I've got my moon bag, whatever they decide to do, I'm with it. But Polygon MATIC, one of the things I'm telling you, stop changing things. It's confusing. My mind can't take it. Do I like ETFs? No, I think they're a big grift, but I'm here to make as much money as ethically and legally as possible as everybody else. I think that Bitcoin and crypto were created for the people, by the people, because of the 2008 housing crash. And now everybody's excited that the banks and traditional finance is coming in. Personally, I don't like it, but I'm here to make money, and I'm going to be incredibly honest and transparent with you guys about that, because the economy and everything else is an absolute mess. We can't trust our public servants and anything else. And I'm very much anti-establishment in that fashion. So moral of the story is, I just want to take care of my family. I want to be able to take care of my community. Shout out to John Germain. He's watched me from Memorex. The whole strategy thing yesterday, we talked about, let's talk about it again. So it was very interesting. Okay. So, and I got a little bit of time left. So Strategy told investors its balance sheet is secure. They claimed its Bitcoin holdings would cover its convertible debt 5.9 times, even if Bitcoin fell to its 74,000 cost basis, and even 2 times at 25,000. They're basically saying that they have enough Bitcoin to pay off all their debts multiple times over. Price dropped significantly because, again, they might be delisted. I want to say it was from S&P or NASDAQ, one of those, whatever the hell, because MSCI got mad and pressed, because that's what they do. Also, Sergey from Chainlink says 30% adopted. So it says DeFi is about 30% adopted today and could reach full global adoption by 2030. He believes adoption will be driven by clear regulations, U.S. policy leadership, and increasing institutional participation. Cool. I like to see it. It makes me happy. I already own my property. I don't want to get into it because people get mad on the internet. Anyways, though, that's the story. That's what's going on today. But I'm going to go. I got some stuff to do. Yep, they're going to delist it because MSCI limiting digital investments on capital to 50%. Not only that, pink trades, but they want to delist it because, what did they say? They wanted to delist it because of the classification with the DAT. No, it's January 15th or 16th, I believe. Because they're like, is this a business? Is this just a treasury? What is it? That's why they want to do it. Because again, we've got all these little entities that they get to come out and be like, oh my God, classify X, Y, and Z. That's what they like to do. And it's so many entities. It's not just one entity. It's like, who are you people? So basically, I want to be able to create an entity and be like, I don't like this. Because of X, Y, and Z, you need to resign, or this needs to go away. That's what I want to do, because that's exactly what these people are doing, but they could do it because they have money and power. Anyways, sending y'all love and light. Happy Thanksgiving. I will be posting. I got my media pieces I'm posting for you. Hope you guys have a wonderful time with your family. Bye, babies. Bye, guys.